Hello YouTube, how's it going? I'm just walking home right now, and I appreciate you tuning in. Hello, hello. I noticed we've already got an instant viewer first thing. Thank you for tuning in. You may have noticed I also uploaded to BitTube tonight, but that was a BitTube exclusive thing. Also, it's late, so I'm going to be walking in and out of the shadows. I make no apology. Newbie, how are ya? Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Good to see you. In the comments, you know I love your face, but you might not be able to see mine because I'm walking through the darkness. However, this is a pretty momentous occasion. I see Sistray242 and Ananda. Good to see you. Thanks for saying hi in the comments there. But I wanted to say hello, and I wanted to reach out and talk about FPGAs, ASICs, and GPUs. I think we've reached the moment of crisis, the moment of truth, right? So there was a photo that was sent out on Twitter by Christy where she showed something resembling an Acorn that had a heatsink and a fan on it. And it was running on a test M.2 board, right, with enough lanes to be able to, ostensibly, to be able to run it. We don't know that for sure. Sister242 is asking, hey, look at this. First off, the shirt doesn't lie. It says this GPU can hash all night. That's still true. You can still hash profitably with GPUs right now. You can still mine profitably with GPUs. Now, if you're a member of the mineyour.biz community, then you know that we help each other all the time with overclock settings, undervolting strategies, or rather power consumption decreasing strategies, algo tuning, what have you. Suggestions for using different miners, different OSs. I'm very bullish on Hive OS because I love the feature set, but disclosure, I'm in the middle of doing some work for hire for Hive OS. So just so that everybody knows, when I recommend it today, well, keep that in mind, that I have to disclose that I've been doing some work for hire for them. That should be published very soon. But we have other members of the community who were instrumental in creating ETHOS, other members of the community who've been using simple mining for a long time, and of course, other members of the community that are really good at mining on Windows, or just using a bare installation of Ubuntu or some other distro of Linux and helping miners get more out of their mining. So the mineyour.biz community does all that stuff. Now, if you're wondering how can I mine profitably on GPUs, then get into the community. Dig in, be active, ask questions, answer questions if you can. Sharing is caring, guys. You've heard me say it for months, right? You've heard, if you've been following the channel at all, then you know that's kind of my philosophy, is that we sort of have to take care of each other. I mean, if we don't, really nobody else will. It's kind of the reality, right? Okay, Vampirus is saying for the moment there are not enough acorns. You know, that's a bummer. That's really sad news. It's cool. Can I do a review of the Acorn on GPUs? Guys, that's kind of a GPU hoarder or a David Stanfield question and a Christy Lee Minahan question. I would need to get my hands on a reviewer sample. I made a request first thing, and because there's a bit of an issue with supply chain, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. So by all means, reach out on the minority Discord server and say, hey, we want Seth to review it. I'd be happy to do that. In fact, I'd even be happy to test a review sample that then goes and makes the rounds to other reviewers like BBT Carter, Buried One, or Rory from Buried One, UFD Tech, etc. Right? So that's kind of what reviewers do, right? I think right now, especially knowing there's a bit of a shortage of hardware, I think nobody can reasonably expect that we would say like, hey, give me a free sample, rather just help provision a review sample so we can get real world numbers. I think that might be the fairest way to make sure that everybody gets what they need from a review like that. So I'm seeing Loot Patient. Hey, how are you, Loot Patient? Good to see you in the comments. Roderick, always great seeing you. Always great seeing you chatting in the comment section. So guys, here's what I'm doing walking around in the middle of the night before we continue. I'm getting that question. But I want to jump back into a question surrounding mining hardware. First off, there aren't many cars driving. This is the back road that I take to get home. So, and I'm walking distance from home. And because I'm walking distance from home, I prefer to walk. It's good for my health, gets me out, keeps me from sitting, you know, another 20 minutes of my life. So if I can walk more frequently than I'm just sitting, then I'll take that, right? I much prefer that. So if you're just tuning in and you're wondering, why a black screen? Well, don't worry, I'm going to walk up to a street lamp soon enough, and you'll see me bouncing around in front of the camera. But let's talk about FPGAs, GPUs, and ASICs. Guys, this is the deciding, definitive moment. And by you just saying part of the problem, you believe part of the problem is that Acorns only work with the SQRL miner software as well. And you see that's a lot to coordinate together. That is a lot to coordinate together, you're right. A lot of moving parts. That's hard for a young company. And let's be totally frank, Minority is a very young company. SQRL is also a very young company. Air Squirrels, not so much. They've been around for a long time. So, but this new venture, also very young. So it takes a while to coordinate all these moving parts. Nobody can blame them, you know, for not having everything running. Oh my gosh, you know what? I am not going to go that way. I'm going to go this way instead. Nobody can blame them for, you know, for not having everything running perfectly straight out of the gate. That's just how it goes when you're starting a new company. So, Loot Patient is saying there's AMD rumors about a card being released in October. Ooh. Well, I'll tell you, AMD has not been very shy about talking at least in somewhat general terms about the next iteration of Vega, right? So there is some info out there about Vega 20. And there's some info out there about the performance characteristics of Vega 20. And the fact that Vega already came out with HBM2 memory, pretty big deal. And by you saying RX 6080 release is a Polaris refresh, yeah, if it is a Polaris refresh, guys, I think I'm not alone in saying that it's maybe not the biggest of news for mining. Certainly HBM2 memory has made a really big difference in kryptonite mining. So anybody who's already mining kryptonite tonight or today with Vega, you know, with Vega cards or with HBM2 systems, you can kind of see the difference already. You're getting far better hash rates on your kryptonite variants, and it's almost not worth choosing between that and Polaris. Almost not worth going with anything other than Vega if you know you can get Vega at the right price. So yeah, I can see how a lot of people would be like, not too excited about a Polaris refresh. However, man, I don't know. We could find that Polaris refresh winds up getting GDDR6 memory, and that it's a game changer, right? Tough to say. And Bayud is saying also that the smaller die will increase performance some. Yeah, exactly. So in the same way that we saw some performance increase on Polaris 500 series, that was nice. But realistically, for professional miners, mid to large scale miners that are using Polaris 400, man, they are still killing it. They're killing it on Polaris 400 series. So Polaris 500, it wasn't the game changer that the larger institutional players and that the big mining players were looking for, right? So, well, we're going to have to wait and see on that one. So, Roderick is saying, I'm not paying the extra for only a small bump in hash rate. Yeah, I'm with you. You guys know I was really bullish some weeks ago about some inventory of NVIDIA P104 that I had my hands on. A friend of mine had in warehouse. And the moment that I saw the market dip, the moment that I saw mining profits dip and spoke to the community, people were saying like, nah, man, I'm not buying new cards. And you know what? I can't blame you. Like, if you feel like I don't want to buy new cards, well, yeah, who could blame you? That's more capital expenditure that you've got to pay down before you break even, right? Like, the cost of electricity is ongoing. It's already enough. So when you add to that new equipment purchases at a time when you know your profitability is kind of low, a little crazy, just a little crazy as a business owner. right? So, and again, guys, we all need to think like that, like business owners. It can't be like, oh, that card is so cool, I'm just going to buy it because I fell in love with it. I mean, not to be weird, but dang, man. I mean, you fall in love with every girl you think is pretty? That could ruin your life really quickly, right? Especially if you're married. So yeah, definitely, don't let your emotions rule those purchase decisions for your mining business. Make a shrewd decision there. Try to pay attention to what the real upside is for you. That said, let's talk about FPGAs. Let's talk about ASICs, guys. In broadest terms, FPGAs, it's safe to say that they are here, right? We've seen a photo of one in the wild now. At least the one that Christy provided now is one that is being tested somewhere, right? Going through QA. This is a very positive development. Does it mean that they're out in the wild to be tested? No! It means they're still with the manufacturer being tested. So we don't know what those real world numbers are yet, and as was mentioned before in the comments, we've still got a little bit of a waiting game ahead of us before an objective third party can release their test numbers. It has to be from a third party. It has to be objective, guys. Look, and I say this with all the love and care that a friend can have for other friends. I really do want to see Minority succeed. I really do want to see SQRL succeed. But you know what? That's because they're my friends, and I've met with them, and I've seen the effort that they put into it. Does that mean that they deserve to succeed? Well, you guys know my opinions on guaranteeing equality of outcome. We just need to see a third party verify and validate results and get their own success with these pieces of equipment. All right. So Newbie is saying that David has 12 BCUs and that he posted a pic yesterday. That's awesome. I know Matt from the Technicals, he went out and bought a VCU 1525 the moment I did the interview with David. So there are people out there that went out and bought the VCU 1525 and then have struggled to get bit streams working correctly. So let me catch up on some comments really fast. AZ is saying, if an FPGA can hash an algo, can't an ASIC be produced to follow? Yes. AZ. Buddy, this is Logic 101, guys. This is where we're in a little bit of an interesting spot right now, where we have FPGAs, GPUs, and ASICs all coexisting in the wild today. Because we see, if the Acorn is there in that photo, being tested at SQRL and being tested by minority folks, then clearly somebody is mining on it. And I mean, by the time this video gets whatever its maximum number of plays is, and you rewatch this, then it's likely that FPGA announcement is going to be perfectly relevant to what the market reflects. So FPGAs are here. Let's just say that they're here. We still don't know what that's going to look like on the network, right? Based on the algos that are best accelerated by FPGAs and which coins are going to adopt them most based on who takes delivery of FPGAs first, specifically Acorn. BCU 1525, same deal. We don't know who's going to take delivery first, but we do know that they're not going to hit in quantities such that it's going to like destroy, like wreck every proof of work network out there, right? Certainly with Dagger Hashimoto, Dagger Hashimoto presents a less attractive target right now. I'm sorry. By the time BCU 1525 ships, well, first off, BCU 1525 doesn't accelerate Dagger Hashimoto, but Acorn, by the time Acorn ships in quantity, we're almost going to see Constantinople be pushed through. And if it's pushed through as presently constituted, then Constantinople is going to wreck mining profits on Ethereum. So there's only going to be so many coins where Acorn is going to be utilized to accelerate Dagger Hashimoto. Now somebody could go out of their way to try to run the numbers here and do some projections and try to figure out in advance what the potential damage could be from having acorns on each one of these different networks. Dagger Hashimoto, X16R, which would most likely apply to Ravencoin, far less likely to be on Redden. However, we may find that because of the performance advantage with Acorn, that maybe Redden mining, maybe there's a little bit of a renaissance, right? Or some other X16R coins get a really big boost because there are some miners that have enough acorns and enough of a performance and efficiency advantage that decide like, okay, this makes sense for me now. But it's hard to say right now. The only thing we can say is today, yes, FPGAs are here, but they're probably not here in quantities sufficient to severely disrupt the networks. ASICs, however, they are here in quantities sufficient to disrupt the networks. Z9, A9, right? What is it, A9 Z Master? These Equihash variant miners that they're making money. So miners who were looking at GPU mining solutions not too long ago are very seriously considering these ASICs instead. So, alrighty, AZ is talking about the Lyra ASIC. Is that remind me again, is that Lyra 2 Rev 2 or is it Lyra Z2? Lyra 2Z. And pardon my ignorance, because I've been very focused on a couple of other projects. So this one is kind of flipped under my radar. So Bayuda is saying FPGA mining is a myth. They can mine the crap coins on unknown algos. You may well be right, Bayuda. I don't know for sure. I don't want to say anything discouraging right now, because what I do appreciate about FPGAs is that if you know how to write bit streams, they'll give you as the individual miner a unique advantage, a distinct advantage over other miners. So if you mine and then trade, your bag still grows, man. Who cares what you were mining? And if you have an advantage mining and trading, then you have an advantage, period. Like, that's the objective reality. That's the objective truth, is that if you have a performance advantage, then as a miner, you win. Maybe the playing field is much smaller, like you're saying, on kind of random coins or unknown networks with obscure algorithms. That may be the case. But I don't care who you are. If you have enough hash rate to gain block rewards more effectively and faster, then you win. Guys, thanks so much for being tuned in, by the way. I just need to mention, I appreciate that there are so many people tuned in live right now. And I appreciate you following, appreciate you hitting the like button, appreciate you being subscribed and clicking the bell icon so you know when I go live like this. As you know, the community is the reason that I do this. You're the reason that I make these videos. So thanks for being tuned in and doing that. But guys, ASICs, they are here. Loot Patient is saying, or asking, is there no safe card to purchase at the moment? I have been layering in some Vega purchases, but I'm not going to use my budget that is set aside till we find out more info about what's coming. Loot Patient, I think that that's wise. Getting host devices and planning what the next move is for your mine is, in my mind, the best way to focus your efforts as a mining business operator. Don't even think about yourself as a miner, but a mining business operator. Like, what is my next quarter's expense going to look like, and what do I anticipate that hopefully my earnings will be like? Bayuda saying he's mining profitably on AMD with no issues. That's awesome. Bayud, so many others in the mineyour.biz community are also mining profitably on AMD because we're focused on crypto notes and various different coins that use the crypto night algorithm. Roderick is saying he pays the electric out of pocket and hoards the coins for the right time. I think that's a valid strategy also. So you may not want to just look at your mining business quarter by quarter. You may want to look at what's going to happen annually. Again, this is not financial, legal, or business advice, guys. this is just common sense. You may want to split your year up, your fiscal year up, in a different way than the next person does for their business. So talk to whoever you do take professional counsel from and ask them what might be best for your business. But do think of it like a business, and do try to find somebody, a professional, that you can get professional advice and counsel from. And hey, if they wind up charging you a fee, pay it. Find somebody who's good and worth the fee, pay them. It's like getting your taxes done at the end of the year. The professional tax guys, they'll always find more of a discount or more of a refund for you than you'll find on your own, and they'll make it worth their fee every time. So find somebody that knows their stuff. Bayuta saying he's doing 32 mega hashes at 77 watts on that RX 580. That's great. Underwater Miner is saying his pockets are empty. Man, I feel for you. That's true of a lot of us. So try to hang on where you can. So Roderick is saying everything for mining is optimized for present day hardware. To figure out what to buy for profitability will have you waiting and waiting and waiting. That's true. That's true. And Newbie has a brilliant question there in terms of reading that power consumption for Bayud. Because if it's not at the wall, that's hard to say for sure that's your real power consumption. And Roderick is saying, man, Roderick, it's like we're kindred spirits here. I agree very much with what he's saying. He says, fact of the matter is that there's no good or bad time to start. The right time could be in the morning and over with by the close of night. So when it comes to mining in particular, ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important things is just knowing that you feel ready. You're not overspending. Again, this is not financial advice, but it's just common sense. If you spend money you don't have, then you can't pay rent. I mean, does anybody dispute this? Does anybody think this is like, that's logic is off there? If you spend money you don't have, you can't pay rent, you can't eat food, you can't pay bills, your phone gets shut off, and then you're live streaming in the dark because the lights are shut off? Okay, I'm actually just on a walk. That's why I'm live streaming in the dark. But you might be live streaming in the dark because the lights get shut off. You know what I'm talking about. So use common sense, right? Start with what you can. Again, not professional advice. If you go out and do this, then just know that I'm just talking about this in very common sense terms. But start when you can with what you can actually afford. And then learn about mining. Thank goodness the Mine Your Biz community kind of came together and helped a member of our community get their first GPU rig going. And this member of our community has been building up this new GPU rig, asking questions, learning about how to optimize the VBIOS of these new cards and which coins to mine. You can start the same way and start with a community. Heck, even if you don't join our community, just join any community that's going to actually help foster your growth and your learning. I don't know how many there are that are quite as supportive as ours. You know, I'm biased. I think the Mine Your Biz community is the best. But that's because I spend a lot of time around them and I see how great the community is to each other. But yeah, GPUs are still a very approachable way to start. FPGAs, as was mentioned before, it's hard to know where to start there. And if you don't write custom bit streams for yourself, then with products like the Acorn and the BCU 1525 by SQRL and Xilinx, you're going to be dependent on the SQRL miner to get anything done. So unless you can write those programs yourself, you're going to have to wait until the Squirrel miner comes out, and then that's going to be what dictates what you can mine, as opposed to GPUs being able to use Claymore miner, XMR stack, EWBF, SG miner, CC miner, LOL miner. Well, not B miner apparently. That was proven to be a problem. But so many other miners, right? As well as so many mining operating systems. You've got a lot of options with GPUs is what I'm saying. With FPGAs, you might not have as many options. And with ASICs, fewer options still. Where it's pretty much just one coin. And that's basically it. So GPU mining is still a great way to get your feet wet and figure out what's what. Now, that said, if you're in it for the profit and you're looking at this from a business perspective, you must evaluate ASICs, period. You have to be seriously looking at ASICs. Now, do I think that ASICs are the best way to go for mining? No, I don't. I think that ultimately they could be damaging for mining and the mining community as it's constituted today. Now, 3 to 5 years from now, all bets are off. In my mind, 3 to 5 years from now, all bets will be off. Frankly, I don't even know if we have 3 years left of GPU mining. I don't know. I'm not convinced. What I do know is that GPUs are very good at crunching numbers, and they're very good at several other tasks as well. And I'm going to have some official announcements that I think are relevant to our community in the coming days. But for right now, what I'll say is, if you're evaluating FPGAs, ASICs, and GPUs, then you really need to seriously consider ASICs if you're serious about mining as a business. If you are looking at mining as a way to get into blockchain and as a sort of gateway hobby, you need to seriously consider GPUs for a time. And if you're serious about using a lot of GPUs, then, I don't know, at least today, it wouldn't hurt to start with GPUs and then check to see what sort of the third party, what third parties begin to say about FPGAs like the Acorn and like the BCU 1525 when they start shipping, because they should start shipping very soon. And if you don't see objective third parties talking about it, then, you know, wait a little longer. That's all I'm going to say about that. I think it's worth waiting until you see BBT review it, or me, or anybody else who's an objective third party that does not stand to gain financially by doing the review, if that makes sense. I mean, shoot, you guys saw Vosk tear down an ASIC the other day. That was pretty cool, right? So if he was able to get his hands on an FPGA as well, one of these Acorns as well, I think we'd probably trust Vosk to give a pretty good level opinion and speak his truth, at least, even if technologically there are parts of it that Vosk says, I'm not so sure about this. Maybe you disagree with his methodology. We can trust him to tell his truth, right? So I think it'd be great to see some objective third parties review the Acorn. I'm a little biased when I say I'd like to review it, right? I'd love to see a Nest X4 be sent to me. I've got the perfect high bandwidth HPC host to drop it into. So I think I can review it from a couple different viewpoints, right? In a PCIe bandwidth starved system, like Big Baby is right now, or like an HPC system, or a standard desktop system with any number of GPUs, right? Between 1 to 8. So I'd love to see that. Make the rounds. Let's send the thing around so that all the reviewers get a chance to go hands-on. All right, guys. So I see a comment from Virus HQ. Just want to give a shout out to Virus for being on that live stream. Thanks so much for dropping in. He needed to sleep for a while, but he dropped back in to do that testing of the RTX 2080. Which one was it? Gosh, we had the Nubasaur had for live testing. It was pretty awesome. So definitely appreciate you doing that, Virus. Thanks for saying hello in the comments. And Roderick is asking, when will my brother Aaron and I begin setting up things for the shared master nodes, or is that just full nodes per clients? Roderick, that's a full node setup per client. Right now, depending on the coins, it's very rare for multi-sig wallets to be able to launch master nodes. Now, you'd hope that that'd be more common a thing, right, with master nodes, so that you could have proper multi-signature custodianship of wallets that are in charge of master nodes. Not a very common thing, apparently. But yeah, if you want to check that out, you can. Let me put up a link on shop.mineyour.biz so that we can get the ball rolling there. But right now it's just Horizon, it's Dash. So if you've got the collateral lying around for a Dash master node, And then also Zcoin, my brother's setting up, of course, Ether 1. If you're interested in Ether 1 masternode, they're really quite simple. So I'd be happy to do that with a community member live on camera, just to show you how that's done. And that's that's a community service I'm happy to do on that one, as well as any other simple to set up masternodes. But Zcoin, Horizon, and Dash are being set up by my brother right now. All right, guys, I've got to head in. It's late. I'm tired, and yeah. And we've talked a little bit about FPGAs, ASICs, and GPUs. So it's all right, guys. If you want to see a proper, unbiased review from a third party that does not work for Oh God, a Company, or Minority, or SQRL, then by all means, drop into those Discord servers. Let them know that you want your boy to take a look at those devices, and I can invite in various community members. You know I'll do it. You know I'll do it. I'll invite in various community members who I respect and who's got the skills necessary to really push these things to the limits. All right, guys. You're the reason I make these videos. I love your face. I will see you in the next one.